the calls.
You'll eventually get the 20% back. That Silver Connect card is going to pay her co-payments. Remicade, I believe, is an injectable, and her hospitalization co-payments. And tell them to turn his Part B on. We are now going to change and pivot to healthcare and you. Christopher J. Mele, M-E-L-E, is in the office. He was with a big carrier out of the Wallingford, North Haven area and then took a promotion and went to work for the state of Connecticut. He is in charge of the broker community. He's actually my boss at the exchange, which is called AccessHealthCT. His topics obviously are going to be the 1095A. There is a little snag with the exchange, which he's going to discuss. You have to be open-minded. This is all new to all of us, so snags are inevitable. I'm going to give you an update on the Anthem breach, which is important. That needs to be at the Attorney General's office no later than 3 o'clock today. I'll go over that later. But, Christopher, you take it away. You've got the next half-hour airwaves.
Thank you, Michael.
My pleasure.
So first thing I'm going to go over and talk about is the fact that we have a couple days left of our open enrollment. Our open enrollment ends on February 15th for all those who haven't enrolled or are going through their renewal options and haven't picked a plan. What you're going to want to do is call your local insurance broker, like Michael Regan, if you're in Waterbury or anywhere around here, or anywhere in the state for that matter, and speak to someone like him. Go over your health care options. You have until the 15th. There hasn't been a decision made on a federal level as to whether or not we're going to extend our open enrollment deadline. As of today, right now, on this radio show, open enrollment ends on February 15th. So get out there, talk to your local insurance broker. If you didn't go through your renewal, make sure you get on the website, www.accesshealthct.com, and make your profile or update your profile. So one of the things Michael wanted me to talk about, which is very important, for those people who enrolled last year in AccessHealthCT, whether you received a tax credit or you didn't receive a tax credit, if you were on any plan with Access Health Connecticut and you were on it for even 1 month of the year where you paid your premium and you were on it, you will be getting what they call a 1095A tax form. What this tax form is used for is a 1095A is used to fill out the 8962 federal tax form, which your accountant or CPA or tax preparer will know how to do, or if you do it on TurboTax, there'll be guides for it. And what it acts as is a guide. So on the 1095 form, it'll have kind of a state of the union of everything you've had for the entire year with regard to premium, with regard to tax credits, and another thing it'll have on there is what we call the second lowest cost silver plan. This is the baseline that we use to determine the tax credit you received during the year. And this is also what we're going to be using to reconcile your tax credit during tax season. So what does reconcile mean? So tax reconciliation basically means that the tax credit you received last year is based on the modified adjusted gross income and the percentage of the federal poverty level you fall within. Anyone that's 138 to 400% of the federal poverty level will be eligible for a tax credit. Now, if your income changed or was adversely affected, or you lost your job, or you got a raise, or anything like that happened during the course of 2014, you may have an adjustment in the amount of premium tax credit that you're eligible for. Now, if you went on our website and you reported a change, or you called in and reported a change, you would have that change from that point on. If you didn't do that, what's going to end up happening is when you file your taxes, if you, for instance, didn't receive enough tax credit, you will receive the aggregate amount on a per-month basis back on your tax returns as a refund. So you'll actually get money back from the federal government if you were owed money. Now, if you had a situation where you were making an income, let's say you were making $34,000 a year or $32,000 a year, and you were eligible for a small amount of tax credit, and you got a raise, or you got a new job that paid more, or you sold an investment property or a vacation home and had capital gains. If any of that happened and your modified adjusted gross income increased and you went over that 400% of the federal poverty level, you can end up owing back your tax credit because this is on a prospective basis. And we base everything on the aggregate income for the year. So this is what the 1095 is used for. It's used as a reconciliation. One thing to be aware of is, like I said, you're going to be filling out the 8962 form for premium tax credit reconciliation. The thing you need to be cognizant of is if you don't fill this out correctly, or this is not filled out when your federal taxes are filed, if you go to your local tax preparing office, there's a lot of big ones here and a lot of local ones, and they file your taxes, your federal tax returns, without that 8962 form, it's going to come back incomplete. Just like you're in a class in college and you do a paper the wrong way, your teacher sends it back, doesn't fail you, it just says incomplete. It's going to come back to you, you're going to have to do it again. So be proactive, be cognizant of what we're doing here. Don't go have your federal taxes done if you're on an Access Health plan unless you got your 1095 and your 8962 form is filled out.
Right.
So the other form you need to be aware of is the form 8965. So 8962 is your premium tax credit reconciliation form. That's what anyone who's on Access Health right now is getting in the mail. It'll only have the months where you had an Access Health plan. Also, if you had two different insurance companies but were still on an Access Health plan, you'll be getting two 1095s. So if you were on Anthem for 3 months and Connecticut the rest of the year, you'll get one 1095 with Anthem's information and your tax credit if you received one, your premium, and you'll get a separate form mailed from Access Health concerning Connecticut's information, including the premium and the tax credit if you received it. So make sure you look out for both and bring that into your tax preparer's office when you do that. 8965 is the penalty assessment. So if you had credible coverage, whether it be an Access Health plan or a group insurance plan or any plan out there, make sure if you're doing your taxes yourself, you need to be very aware of this, or if you're going to a tax preparing office, make sure they know that the 8965 needs to be filled out. What this is going to do is this is going to either prove that you had credible coverage per the Affordable Care Act, which states you must have a plan that meets a minimum essential coverage and is a qualified health plan, and you won't get a penalty. Or if you had a situation where you had insurance for 10 months of the year, and if you had insurance for 6 months of the year, and for 6 months of the year you didn't have insurance because you didn't pay your premium or you lost your coverage and you didn't enroll in a new plan, what they'll end up doing is assessing you the penalty on a prorated basis. And if the callers don't know already, the penalty for not having health insurance during last year, 2014, was $95 or 1% of your modified adjusted gross income. That's the key.
Right.
The 1%. Everyone says $95, and it makes people easy. That's the minimum. That's the absolute minimum. You're right, Michael. 1% of whatever your income is for your household. So that can end up being very detrimental for people. And what the 8965 tax form is going to end up doing is if you were insured partially throughout the year, they're going to take 1% of your aggregate income, modified adjusted gross income, and they're going to prorate it based on the 6 months. So again, we're sending these out right now. Michael wanted me to address, there were some people who have had some problems with their 1095s, or they don't understand how the 1095 works and it looks incorrect to them. Depending on what happened during the course of the year, if they made reported changes and they had problems with billing and they had cancellations and reinstatements, there's a lot of different things that could happen that could adversely affect the 1095 process, whether it be maybe we need to help you understand what you're looking at correctly and it is correct, or there actually is a material problem. All of this is possible. What we've done is we've created a Tier 2 support. So this is an advanced level of support internally at our office. And we have a phone number for any consumers out there who want to address what's on their 1095-A, whether it be incorrect information or reading it. That phone number, and I'm going to read it slow, is 888-257-1040.
That's it.
And you can also email us. So, I understand people, the biggest complaint about, calling someone, just like if I'm calling the computer support in the middle of the day, you don't have an hour to wait on hold or 20 minutes, depending on what the wait time is. You can also email us at 1095.accesshealth@ct.gov. Again, 1095.accesshealth ct.gov. And again, that number is 888-257-1040. So those are going to be our Tier 2 support. We've actually contracted out with an external call center who has subject matter experts who can discuss 1095s and the process, and if there are material changes that need to be made, or there was a change that was made that the consumer didn't understand, they can explain that or adjust them, and then have another one mailed out. So if you're having problems with your 1095, that's the number to call. If there are any questions on the 1095 process or how the 1095s work, if you want to call into the station,
Let's do
we'd be
it.
happy to hear it.
It's 757-1320. Again,